The LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car-sharing marketplace. Find your drive.
Hello and welcome back, everyone, as we're preparing for this third series, the last series of the day here, for the day one of our second round robin. There we go. That was the two I was thinking in my head. We have, of course, AOE going up against Evil Geniuses Challengers after this. Two teams that, unfortunately, after the first round robin, find themselves on the bottom half of the standings, but not necessarily teams that we expect to stay there, or at least not that I do. I don't know about you, Mazel. Do you see either of these popping up?
I would love to see some late season resurgences, especially from the other side of the matchup, to see kind of what they can do when the pieces are aligning. But for AOE, there has been consistent leads developed by Will, but it is just about tying the team together, finding ways to make that cohesion work, because each one has had individual performances that you're like, oh my god, I remember that moment. The Garen for concept, Will's Rex size, the combos of aggressive junglers, Darkwing Swain, which is just unstoppable. And you see a lot of the cohesion in bot lane as well lend itself to a lot of strength for them.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, Cubby, but for me it feels like AoE Gold were never fully able to bounce back after that rough day where they had to swap out Lynx, his power went out. Will had to play bot lane, and Acadian, their coach, came in. Ever since then, they've been on this slump, and that was kind of the beginning of it. I was hoping that they would have a fast bounce back, but either way, they do have the opportunity now in the second round robin. Slate is reset. Don't focus on the past, focus on the future, which is especially what this next team is doing. Because, Cubby, they have a roster swap coming in. Evil Geniuses Challengers. I want to talk about them because we got a new top laner joining the org.
I mean, a new top laner, but a familiar face in Challengers and also within EG. It's going to be Surdy stepping in for the top lane as Soul, unfortunately, let go, retired as well. We're going to miss Soul greatly, but excited to see Surdy back. Surdy, for me, is a player that has played at a Challengers level really for all of last split, even when his Team Liquid First, were relegated out of the league. Surdy was the bright spot on that team, laned very well on that team, and someone I'm excited to watch on this roster.
I will say I love the focus on Surdy, and we'll have a lot of time to talk about that. One member that you have to watch out for this Evil Geniuses roster, as we're going to see it go, is King. I think King is having an incredible split, and so the duo now of such a strong top laner, now combined with such strong strength through the ADC role in the meta that we have, I'm excited.
Now, we had a video play at the beginning of the day, which I'm sure many people watching now probably didn't see, as it's literally our pre-show. But we started the most valuable prospect conversation and talked about who our front runners were halfway through this summer split or through the first round robin. I wanted to push for King to be on that as well. We only went with 4 names, but I think that his name can be in the conversation and might be if he continues these types of performances going forward. But we wanted to still highlight Surdy, who is the newest member here. We got a Mazel GFX that we're going to pop
make
up.
sure you give the man some respect, all right?
He's back,
the King
baby.
is back. Regality has returned, even if it's not King for the bottom lane. It's the King of the top lane, and I know that Surdy has himself a lot of confidence built, right? He feels confident. He's been the sub behind Team Liquid Challengers. He's feel confident that he's kept his level up and working on himself, right? We heard from him so vocally last split that he was working on how to be a better teammate, how to be a little bit of a voice for a team, and he still wants to hone that, but he feels like he's made progress, and I think that's true.
They say King's returned here. What about Duke? How do we feel about a Duke Surdy?
No,
like
that's King status, man. That's
King, all right. But he's got King is on the team. I feel like we got to find something else.
Kings.
That could be a whole lore bit, actually. You know, maybe we can do some content with that. That's a good point going forward. We did actually get a chance to sit down with Surdy, of course, and chat about his, we saw him last in spring over on Team Liquid first, but now joining us again here in the NACL for summer, what he's been up to and what he's focused on going forward. So let's take a look and hear from Surdy himself.
Coming back to EG was not something that I expected to happen. I'm very thankful for the opportunity, though. I was on TLC before. I was the 6th man behind Bradley, and I, of course, did everything that I could to try and help elevate that team and be as good of a teammate as I could there. But once I had the offer extended to me from EG to actually play, I couldn't really turn that down. So I came over here to a roster which, on paper, looks very, very good. And I have a lot of high hopes. Scrims have been going well, and I'm very confident in my teammates' ability. And as for what I've been working on in League, it was mostly just being a better person, being a better teammate, camera control, and teamfight awareness, just because my laning has always been my strong suit. I'm confident I am the best laner, period, in NACL. I know that I am, from Scrim's last split and this split. So I'm looking forward to generating leads that way, and then hopefully transitioning it better into the mid-late game. Okay, I think that AOE Gold is pretty bad. I think that they are not living up to the sum of their parts. I think the individual parts should not have this scoreline. I'm not sure what's going on inside of the team, but obviously there can be a lot more to the results of a team than just the names that are on the roster, as you can see from like Vitality or from FlyQuest. You need to be able to mesh with your teammates, and I think that if they haven't fixed that, it's going to be very difficult for them to win. As for a message that I want to give to Concept, it's pretty much just like, I hope this team will let you ban 5 top laners like your old one.
They're so wholesome. Up until the very end right there. What do we think, Cubby? 5 bans?
I mean, I just like how Vitality still catches strays even in Challengers, right? I feel like that's appropriate for the LEC raid. Also, just want to say that, we got the coach of Team Liquid Challengers, Spawn, even tweeting out during the break. Excited to see Surdy playing in Challengers again.
Yes.
This is a player that I really feel like deserves to be playing at this level. So it is great to see him get a slot, and excited to see what he can do against a team that he feels like is beatable today.
And he's a longtime friend of who he's going to be facing up on the other side. That's what I love is, yes, there's kind of that cheekiness, but these two guys know each other so well.
And the reason we want to highlight that matchup especially, it's a return. We've seen this matchup a few times. In Concept, when we look at his role in the current split, heavy team fight focus. He's playing the weak side tanks. Here's one of the plays that we had from earlier in last weekend. He does do his job. Concept's gonna be that guy who will be the front line, he will be the engage, he'll try and flank around people, prevent their escape paths. But Surdy, his opponent today, is somebody who can really push leads heavily. How do we feel about Concept's chances here, Mazel? Are we sweating? Are we worried?
I am expecting Jet, Surdy, know him by his first name, all that good stuff that we were saying about Ian earlier. I think that he's going to be coming out trying to make a splash. He wants to make it known that he is the best top laner. We heard a lot of confidence in his voice, and I think Concept is going to have to find a way to balance out that aggression, because Surdy's goal now, it's not just being a better teammate, it's about getting leads and finishing games.
Absolutely. Let's see if Surdy has it in him still this summer like he did last spring. Picking bands ready for game number 1, so I'm going to pass it over to Mazel and Cubby for the game.
Oh, I got it. Oh, it's right here. Look, Cubby. It's a game. It's also a banger.
It's a game.
We got EGC on the blue side. We got AOE on the red side. It is a return to comfort, a home Surdy has known before in his time in League of Legends, and maybe something that could lead to paid out futures for Evil Geniuses as a whole. We'll see what the focus is going to be. Get the Nico right off the bat, as is tradition here in the NACL.
Yeah, and it is funny, seeing it back on EG. Way back, last time I remember seeing him on EG would be 21 Spring, where he played with a marksman known as Shiro, went on to be Danny. They took 5th, 6th with Tomio on that roster in Proving Grounds as an amateur org. Was rather impressive in that split. And Surdy, for me, is a player where he says he wants to prove that he's the best laning top laner in NACL. I do think very highly of Surdy's ability to lane, no matter what he ends up picking. So excited to see if he can bring that to the table for this EG squad that, let's be honest, looking at the team as a whole, Mazel, we want to see pick up more wins than just 7 in the second round robin.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to need to be a matter of success for them with the team that they have and the roster now that they have entrancing into the league. With Surdy, a little bit different. See how that works out with a lot of voices on the team that maybe want some resources. But right now, those resources being taken away in our first phase of bans are the Ivern for EGC and the Kindred and the Zaya for AOE, followed up by the Vi final ban in the first phase of EG.
Maybe looking for a Sejuani here for the side of Shaden, as with Ivern and Vi taken away, Maokai is another jungler that's an option, but we've seen Sejuani really rise in prio, especially when a few of these junglers, like what we're seeing on the West at the moment, are banned away. So I'm expecting that to be first pick by EG.
I also love that, yes, we could focus all day long on Surdy's debut, but one of my deep heart wants is to see how this jungle matchup goes, because we literally have two of our most upstart junglers in Will versus Shaden, two guys who want to be carries and do end up carrying a lot of games. LeBlanc has slunk through the draft.
Yeah.
He actually makes it into first pick for EGC, so that's very powerful. But you were talking earlier about what this Tristana could possibly be, and it is locked in for AOE.
So they leave up the LeBlanc, they ban the Kennen instead. I really like the Tristana answer into LeBlanc because later into the game you can one-shot LB. So I'm curious if Ryoma does go for that Shiv build or actually switches things up to go for the full magic damage build where you can one-tap Tristana. You can't really do that with Shiv. So options available for the side of EG, but of course that Sejuani I was setting up because LeBlanc was left open. That now goes over to the side of AOE, where I expect that Tristana to be mid. Technically is a flex pick, but should be in the hands of Darklings, who did find a win on it. As I know that Kangas pointed out, AOE was on a slide, a 6-game losing streak. But important to note, they did break that by 2-0ing Team Fish Taco at the end of last week. So AOE is getting some wins there.
And you love to see Will on the Sejuani as well. I think giving a lot of skirmishing power to Will is always super important for AOE. And he's going to need it against Shaden. We all know how Shaden plays, and we know what kind of KDAs he's racked up. Now, it is that Aphelios that makes it through for EG, so King gonna have another very powerful tool to continue doing what he does best in carrying. But on the other side, a carry that now represents itself is the Ziggs for AOE.
All right, Link's gonna take this one for himself. I must say this is not the first game that I've seen Link's pilot the Triss. Gonna be the second one, as it is really does have the ability to push Aphelios back and have Aphelios get outranged. And also, if you get ahead on the Ziggs, you can take turrets rather quickly. So that looks to be the strategy early from AOE. Wouldn't be surprised we see some pairings be taken away from the Ziggs, but maybe too many of those supports up. I know that my eyes are still really on the Rel, but looks like they're going to focus Concepts Pool instead. Maybe taking away some of the topside blinds that could pair up well with Sejuani. And honestly curious to see if they take away a Renekton here too. Concepts played that a little bit. I wonder if Surdy respects that matchup enough to actually, take that away, or if he wants to play into it with something like a Jax.
Well, I will just say it's not 5 bans just yet, but it is a little bit focused towards bot lane for AOE with that Rakan ban finally. It will be a lot of that follow-up denied from Smoothie and from EG. I do wonder what EG want to go here for their final ban, though, see if they want to dwindle down that top lane pool. But Concept has a plethora of comfort champions that he can go to, and that is some of the variable strength of Concept.
Okay, so actually going to be the Rel taken away, so one of the better pairings for the Ziggs. Still, Leona is on the board if they want to blind, but knowing AoE and knowing Concept, I don't think he's going to be too scared to blind a top laner, especially if he could take something like a Renekton, but actually going to leave the Renekton up and take a Jax for himself. So with that Kennen off the board, I'm curious what the answer is now for Surdy, because if you go Gragas, you're triple magic damage topside. Like, you need AD answers in the Jax, which are pretty tough to find. So that leaves something like a Fiora, which then has EG really playing a 1-3-1 or split push style, or of course could just man mode up and take that Renekton, which looks to be the call.
If there's a guy that's going to go man mode up, it is Surdy, so why not? He locks in the alligator, crocodilian, whichever one, take your pick, but it is strength from the top side, and these solo lanes are popping right now for Evil Geniuses.
Now, there is some engage that is available for the side of EG, so you could go for something like Braum. Okay, Braum's not going to be the call here. It's going to be Nautilus. So Nautilus does have a nice interaction with Tristana when trying to attack her with the Dredge line. Really tough to buffer that rocket jump out, as there are 2 tugs on that, so you got to be really careful as Triss. You can buffer the depth charge, but that is early game for Smoothie, who has been going to the hook champions. Blitzcrank has been his specialty. Curious what the answer is, though, for Breezy. I would love a Braum here. It pairs really well with Sejuani, but you're going with the Ziggs, so you can't really stack the passive all too well. So instead, going to be the Alistar, a Breezy special, as this is now his most played of the split. That'll be paired up with the Ziggs.
I love to see it. And it's also a champion that Breezy can get out on the map. I think cohesion between him and Will has also been a crux that they've leaned on. It has worked very well for them. So looking at those Rift Herald fights, those things like that. But it is seriously now looking at EG, how they're going to execute this early game, because they have a lot of very aggressive lanes to play through and trying to find a way for Shaden to get involved with that, with all that oppression the Maokai bring.
Yeah, and I mean, for EG, I see the Blanc Renekton. I think a lot of this is about the early game and how much they can protect Shaden's jungle, but also maybe try to get a few invades off. Whereas for Will, curious if he ends up pathing towards that top side to help assist the Jax lane. If Jax gets help in that matchup, you can beat the Renekton. And Concept, I think he laned a lot better and played a lot better, especially in that series against Team Fish Taco. So hopefully he can continue that, as he's going to need it going up against 30.
Yeah, and yeah, God, this top lane matchup is going to be so interesting. But also, Concept actually has a fighting voice in this one. The Jax we've seen, he's so strong. Get any kind of advantage, but also once you're able to manipulate side lane on the other side, we've seen the Renekton be in crazy 1v2 scenarios and come out on top. So there's going to be a lot of bloodshed in that top side, but I'm sure all focus, all spotlights will be on the early pathing of Shade and Will. And right now, the fluctuation of AOE early, because they do have a bit of a scaling composition when it looks at their damage dealing sector.
I mean, Ziggs, Trist, and Jax can all melt turrets pretty fast. So I think any lead that AOE gets, they can take objectives really quickly. Definitely something that we're going to be looking out for, as we do have a short break before we get into this first game.
Trying to recreate Heimerdinger.
Oh no! So like one of those. Yeah, definitely no motivation taking from Arcane in the making of this emo.
Definitely not.
For sure, none.
Definitely not. But if you want to be able to use that emote in chat while we're waiting for the game to start, you know, you could subscribe to this channel and our other channel, Path to LCS, where 50% of the proceeds go to teams and players. Wow. He's supporting the community. Crazy. And you get cool emotes that you could spam with the kickoff of this game. We're finally into it. We're kicking off our last series of the day. It's Evil Geniuses Challengers versus AOE Gold. And get those spams in chat. EGC for AOE for you think's going to come out on top.
It's really important this game that EG is able to do something with the prio that they have early. And really important that they're able to get out and actually side lane. Because the Blanc will have a lot of shove in the side. Over time, Tristana catches up. That Ziggs can do a lot of damage later. And King has been damn good this split, and really good, especially on this Aphelios. Might have his hands full going up against the Ziggs Tristana, who will each have the ability to outrange him. And that only gets worse as the game goes on.
And the thing about King is, the journey has been tough for this man. It has not been easy. He has been delayed. He has been set back. He even in an interview earlier this season didn't know if he was even going to be able to play. But he has made it. He has finally brought what has been promised for Evil Geniuses. And while you've seen a lot of growth over this guy's career, this split in particular just feels like he's showing out.
I've been really impressed with King this split. So I really hope we can see his play continue to be as consistent as it is. And hey, pairing him up with Surdy on this top side could be just what the doctor ordered here for the side of EGC. As Surdy, lane dominant player that I want to see continue to grow and evolve in team fights. I feel like Surdy does play his champs very well, always in lane. Sometimes though in fights can get lost. Really, the one area we're looking for Surdy to continue to improve. But still a player that we have pretty high hopes for. And the fact that he lanes at the level that he does is really promising for Surdy moving forward.
As he feels like he's the best top laner in the laning phase in NACL, but also just needing to find ways to close those advantages out. That was a consistent theme on Team Liquid First last split, was them just finding monumental top leads but not being able to close out games. So that is a now trigger for Surdy and trying to find a way to make that work here with EGC.
Able to dash out of that one as Shaden going to be working from bot to top, so we're going to have matched paths here from each of our junglers, as Will pathing up to where he's going to have that priority in the top side. And Shaden just here to make sure that there's no dive available here for the side of AOE once this clear is going to be all wrapped up.
You wonder how quickly we get the Will skirmishes going. As is tradition, he always looks for some early advantages, maybe some invades, things like that, and especially with a little bit of priority from Darkwings, to give a lot of advantage through this mid lane duo. And it's always interesting to see Darkwings fluctuate in the way that he kind of works with Will. You have a lot of utility picks, obviously the Swain, maybe not as much utility, but just an annoyance, but also a lot of adaptation that Darkwings has had to combo with Will. Don't be mad, it's just Ziggs, baby.
Recalls. That's quite the pest there. as Will did sneak into that topside river and drop the ward. Shaden's about to wrap up the clear himself. There is a smite that's going to be up a little bit sooner for Will if they do want to try and contest this. As Surdy pressing either. Actually, that's a bit of an oops. I think that's enough where this goes over to the side of Will now for free.
We gotta go get it. The reset actually coming out from Darklings there as well. We'll be just burning that TP to get back to the lane. See, and that Scuttle Grab victory early on for AOE. Ooh, speaking of oohs and ahs, though, look at his clone pop as Surdy looking for it. He wants a solo in the entrance back, but now he's going to try to bait out Shaden. Kill onto Concept. Maybe you get it. Nice little Arctic Assault. Surdy has the flash, but now look at Shaden.
Concept.
He's trying to take him down. The sapling will connect, but it's not going to be enough damage just yet. Will gets popped back at Surdy. Will that slice and dice? The difference is made, though, by Will. And first blood for AOE. It's soon followed by Shaden, so kills across the board, back and forth. It's Shaden now with red and blue, looking for Concept, who doesn't have any mana. Can't find it, but it is early blood top lane. That's the bloodshed we were looking for.
Okay, Concept did already TP back. So Concept TP'd back into the lane. Surdy finds a really big trade onto him here, though. So trying to get him down. Honestly, if they are able to take Concept down, it's a huge win for Surdy. Not going to be the case, though, as Shaden was forced to turn on to Will. And really nice buffer from Will to get that W down through the stun. As Surdy goes for the full combo, wasn't able to get out of there in time. Concept picks him up as Shaden gets the... I love that animation, the flash twisted advance like right on top. It just goes so fast.
It does. It really does. Darkwings, with that heavy trade now you see happening between Ryoma and him. Didn't actually end up burning that TP to get back to mid, so that's a nice little advantage. They'll have to get another back in and get back. Will is hovering around mid lane. Going to be soon hovered by Shaden, but we're back looking at top lane as the wave state's a little awkward. We will just get a trade back and forth between the two yet again.
Surdy's up in CS, though, in this matchup, and that pickaxe is going to feel rather good at the moment. So I think Surdy, on at least this timer, should be able to force out Jax once this wave does bounce. And Shaden's still working his way up there. He's going to be a little bit ahead of Will in the clear, so neither of our teams looking at this dragon early.
Oh, but we're looking back at top lane as Dominus has been popped, and Surdy says, "Hey, Concept, we're friends. Come back. I just want to talk. I want to talk."
No TP for Concept, and with Shaden working his way up here, could see some fireworks here on the dive.
They really want to focus this top side, get Surdy ahead. We'll see the slice and dice used to get out of tower range, but the Counter-Strike did connect. Saplings here, a little sneaky. Present delivered to Will, but Shaden needs to be a little more careful. Now that level 6s has been gotten, at least for Concept. He has a little bit of fight back here. Will able to steal away some of those Krugos, though.
They gotta go fast. They want this. Yeah, Sejuani's here.
Situation. Surdy with that little step back forces Concept out of that one as well. And it's just all focus on kills. Again, no real objective focus yet. But we will have a Rift Herald in a minute. And we wonder how much priority EG, who we said needs to kind of get these advantages, want to put on that.
Surdy not going to show out that lane. Sees that Concept is base, so he's going to go match. Okay, Shane actually going wide.
Oh, Darkwings! The solo bolo for AOE.
And unfortunately for Ryoma, flashing some air there. Doesn't find anything. Gets taken down by the Tristana early, as that could open up space now for AOE to look at this Rift Herald. And so far, good start to the game for AOE Mazel, as they haven't found any lead really on the top side that's significant and kills for the Renekton. And look at the rest of the map. Lynx is up in CS thanks to the fact that he was able to TP back. It's solo kill now mid, and Will's ahead of Shaden. So really good start here for the side of AOE.
Truly is, and AOE might see the entrance of Surdy into the matchup, but they will not hold anything back. You see the trade onto Ryoma. Is not expecting the damage count.
BTA adding up. Yeah, that's the R auto from the Trist. Rather clean there from Darkwings, but still this top one lane lead, EG is hoping is enough to make sure this Herald goes in their favor. At the moment, Will gonna take down that red buff and maybe fight afterwards, but I think it's a little bit too little too late. This will be Herald going over to EG uncontested.
see if it's going to end up in some gold and who for. I mean, expect, honestly, Surdy to get that at this point with how much Shade has gone topside. But I will say something of pressure to note is that Dark Wings is having a decent advantage in mid lane. And I know in our last series, we saw Spyrax pilot the Tristana very, very well. Dark Wings, what is up with our mid laners? They are just pulling out Tristana and finding so much advantage. You still got to drive these home, though, and that kill will lead to something.
And I mean, looking at this Trist as the game goes on, Mazel, you're going to be free-firing into a LeBlanc, a matchup that you already feel good in, as we see a trade now going in the favor of Dark Wings again. But also a Maokai and a Renekton. I mean, this is just set up really for Tristana to take over this game in favor of AOE. And you can see all the push that Trist has now in the mid lane. You're going to look to bleed that into the first dragon. It is a cloud spawning, so the odds you get a nice soul it's going to be a little bit higher now for the side of AOE as Will starts that one up.
And I just love it, man. I've always been a big Dark Wings fan. No bias, right? No bias. But ever since we saw him on Dignitas, I was interested at what his story would come out to once he was let go. And seeing him kind of come back through the Tier 3 system and come back into the NACL and really be a force for AOE has been really nice.
Not a force enough though to bully this dragon down, as Breezy ends up getting chipped out there pretty good. And yeah, we'll see if EG can net that first objective for themselves at the moment. Their strength still lies on that top side with Surdy, who has had some help from Shaden and is still finds himself ahead in this matchup against Concept.
Still no dragon. Right now, at this point, they're both just staring at each other saying, no objectives. We won't take them. We don't need to fight. We can wait. We can just have a slugfest later on. But then when you look at that, that is the conversation we had early on for EGC. We wanted to see these solo lanes get ahead. You have this first item spike between Surdy and Ryoma, and you got to use it. But the answer right now for AOE is to get this dragon and get that stacking started.
Shaden's using this to sprint up to the top side, so they can see that two members of AOE are on this dragon. I think they're going to look to dive this Jax here, as Gore Drinker has been completed by Surdy's Renekton, so he gets full control over the wave. You can see him just rip right through that. No E now for Concept. He's got to be careful. He's got to seed this wave, actually.
Not going to give an inch, give a mile over to Surdy. Just give those plates, see what happens elsewhere. Deny some more gold going over as the Mega Inferno Bomb does get used there. Oh my, taking about half health, but Smoothie goes in, now leaving his ADC. He goes down, the depth charge, not going to be enough to get Lynx down either. An executed dive from AOE, but Concept trying to be a response on the other side, and nice combos. Surdy wants that kill, and he gets it. The flash and a first tower for EG.
See if first break, it should go over. I know I only am worried because you're going up against the Ziggs with Satchel Charge, but I gotta praise AoE. This execution on the bot side, fantastic from Lynx. He found a massive chunk on the King going into that fight, enabled Breezy and Will to easily clean on off, and this brick will be answered thanks to the Satchel Charge here from Ziggs.
Easy pickup and response. It's like we're having a conversation, but through League of Legends right now between EGC and AoE. And I love it. We're getting a lot of focus towards that top side, but this was an AoE dive executed well.
Look at the chunk. Like, there's just no play for King. Yes, Smoothie tries to find Lynx. He gets them within tower aggro, but wasn't able to quite keep him there with the depth charge. Maybe if he QRs and then finds the auto afterwards, you can stop Lynx from moving. That would have been really the only option that Smoothie had to maybe keep on under the tower. Not going to be the case, though, as topside easy pickup for Surdy, as he's very far ahead in this matchup. But at the moment, I'm concerned because Lynx can be really big on the Ziggs. If Ziggs gets accelerated, he is a problem in the game. And Lynx, I think, has been actually having a pretty slept-on split. I know that there have been some struggles for AoE as a whole, but Lynx as a player, he's actually pretty high up there in the inning stats. Like, he is leading all marksmen in gold of 15 at plus 615. Also leading all marksmen in DPM, actually second behind Arrow at 760 a game, and has the highest damage percentage out of any marksman in the league. As of course Concept does like to play those tanks. So I think that Lynx statistically has been playing pretty well. Want to see if he can continue to kind of step up, as Darkwing's getting chunked and DP's coming in from EG. Actually, they're going to look for a play.
All right, Breezy, a bit caught up, but the real target is Dark Wings here as the Wild Growth will not connect. It is going to be a connection from Ryoma, but won't be able to find the damage there in the end.
Still get flash out of Will and Dark Wings. So a lot invested there from EG, but it could be worse as Ryoma.
All right. Well, that's a flash burned and a Glacial Prison that connects through. And Ryoma has been caught with his pants down. Will with a big one.
I mean, walking into an Alistar is, it's usually an end, so like something like that, you know?
Honestly, I love it from Will, man. I wanted some fighting. I wanted a lot of skirmishing to come out from this guy because he is the guy who finds gold on the map. Somehow, some way, he finds it. And to have the Sejuani to be that forward advance for them is huge because you have the backup of such stable, strong carries.
I think Will's been having a really nice split, no matter what he plays. We're going to take a second look. Again, a lot used by Darkwings to get out of this one. As the Ziggs ult enough to deter Surdy and the push from EG. And then on the back half, Ryoma's like, hey, you know what? I got Shiv. I can go for one more wave, right? Tristana has to base, but unfortunately, there's a cow. And it's a really nice ult here as Ryoma isn't able to catch that ultimate with the clone. Would have been his one way out. He gets locked down. Kill goes over to Will. Darkwing's got to earn it next time.
That's what you have to say? That's your final point? He's got to earn it.
You got to earn it. Always.
All right, I like it. We do get the Rift Herald, though, for EG. There's a bit of response in that, and that'll be some future gold. Not futures market, but on the map for them. Surdy will be transitioning down to answer this tier 2 wave here. But the Dragon is coming up in about 35 seconds. Surdy does have the most gold, but it is the 3 stacked of AOE that are so strong and will be so strong approaching these objectives.
Yeah, Lynx is really scary right now. That Leandries and Nebis, he's a little bit ahead of the item curve, whereas everyone else is pretty much at 1 item. So really have to see if Lynx can step up. As Breezy is spotted on the top side 15 seconds before the Dragon, this might be enough for EG to try and walk in and see if they can get something done.
See if that can happen, though, but you got side lane pressure because that is honestly going to be the name of the game as time goes on. Is and Concept have side lane pressure, or do Surdy and Ryoma have it? We'll look in the fight, though. Shaden get a bit caught out. Does have to burn that flash. Mega Inferno Bomb evening up those health bars, and the connection still made it as the Buster Shot follows you no matter what.
It was from downtown, man. He spider-gnawed into a wall and then over another one with a flash. Doesn't matter. Darkwings is able to connect. And good pick from AOE. I love the patience they had a ward there. Will was waiting to make sure they found shading, because even if they don't get the kill, you chunk the junglers so that they cannot contest. Well done here.
Really nicely done. And we will see that Dragon go over. So number 2 for AOE. Another turret goes down, and they're starting to work with the composition that they were handed. Those early advantages nowhere to be seen for EGC.
Ziggs is scary, man. It's really tough to take space back from a Ziggs. And you have 3 short-range characters like Renekton, Maokai, and Nautilus. Also, Aphelios limited by range. LeBlanc, yeah, she can close the gap, but you still have to go through those minefields. You can see how scary a Fed Lynx can be for the side of EGC, as Lynx has just been doing work on the Ziggs.
See how much damage he's been able to do to structures at the end of the game. That is always of an importance. But that's also the combo you get, right? Tristana and the Ziggs take structures so unbelievably quick. And even with a small lead like this, if they press it the right way, all of a sudden the dam has burst open and AOE are looking at Nexuses. So you really have to be careful for EG.
No, I love that you bring that up. It kind of circles back to what we were talking about when it comes to Ziggs very early on, that, you know, if AOE's comp gets ahead, you have Tristana, Ziggs, Jax. I mean, these 3 champions take turrets so quickly, and we can see how quickly AOE's been able to match that bot push. You don't get that turret with anyone else but Ziggs in the bot lane when you had EG taking first brick on the top side, and then mid, easy play, right? Dragon goes your way, you get a chunk, all of a sudden that mid outer falls to Ziggs. So I think AOE have done a good job so far of moving their turret killers around the map, and at the moment, they're setting up on the top side to try and take this last outer away from EGC.
I love it because you're about to get a Rabadon second item for Lynx as well. Just go straight to the power spike there as well.
Love it. Honestly, Shadow Flame, everyone just buys it every game without thinking about it, you know?
Yeah.
Just get so accelerated and go Death Cap second, and then you're stronger for the rest of the game once you get your next item, or even your half item.
I'm just a fan of being able to turn 2 rods into a hat. I mean, that's always my point.
Don't you love League science?
Dude, I love it. It's incredible. You get to have a lot of strength as well as just a lot of fun. But it is this side lane pressure. And again, the sieging that AoE do so well. Darkwing's trying to take a side turret yet again. Here comes the postcard. Not going to be enough, but damage is still done. And that is all outer towers gone for EG.
Really tough for them to match. You can see the wave clear now with the Ziggs taking place. Lynx continues to be ahead of the curve in gold. The second Herald will be used bot. I know this gets a turret, but it's really tough to take turrets against Ziggs. So I would kind of prefer to actually see this drop mid.
Get a little bit of gold there for Surdy, though. A little bit of strength maybe coming through, because that is still an important part, right? You did just get Night Harvester completed for Ryoma. It's a nice little spike for the LeBlanc, but the Black Cleaver also for Surdy. We were talking about 1 item spikes. Well, now we're at 2, and they still need to find a way to make it work.
Yeah, it's tough because like you have to find Ziggs or Trist, and it's really tough to get through Sejuani Alistar, and then you factor in the Ziggs and Trist damage onto your front line. And Renekton, Maokai, Nautilus are just melting to these 2 champions, and they are so safe paired up together when you have the safety that Trist just has in her kit, and then all the utility that Ziggs packs along with the damage. I mean, if you're able to hit skill shots, you are so big.
Indeed, but the discussion remains unended here. You did get some nice item spikes for AoE as well, by the way. That hat got completed.
Yeah.
So Link's going to be very, very strong.
That changes things. You got to find Ziggs first now. He also TP'd in the mid. So if you do get a chunk on the Ziggs, it's very valuable. So that's the target that I want to see EGC try to look for as they set up this dragon. We have an Ocean Soul in the Rift. There is a minute left until we have that soul point spawning. And oh boy, EG...
Okay, let's go.
Aphelios does have red-white. He can burn. EG's trying to bank off the fact that Aphelios just showed mid, so AoE won't be wiser to it for a couple seconds here. But Concept drops Control Ward. It's at 8k to get the bad news. And the EG, I think they got to run for the hills.
Yeah, they absolutely do.
TP.
But it's a nice pull. Yeah, I was just about to say, it's a really nice pull onto AoE. And it's showing that they're willing to focus on some of these macro decisions.
Ryoma can catch this wave easy peasy with a Shiv. Not all bad.
Give it to King.
Okay. That's cool, too.
So
share the love,
King at this point, you didn't get a lead with LeBlanc or Renekton as much as you want. King is the end-all be-all, it feels like.
Look at Breezy.
That is a huge flank as they have found out Surdy and Smoothie, and it's not going to end pretty. Look away, because you might have to have a bit of a crime scene on the back end of this one. Smoothie makes it out, but Surdy has fallen.
30 seconds on the clock. There is TP available for Surdy. Dragon has just spawned. It looks like AoE have enough time to actually rotate back and contest this. So all EG is going to get is that crash into the bot side.
They can't do this.
No, they cannot sniff this. This is going over to AoE.
This is a stank you don't want any part of. Not even a 15-foot pole. As AoE do take their 3rd dragon, this just opens up every opportunity for them. And it's golden hour right now for AoE, because with this Soul Point, they can decide, pull Barons, get the ideas thinking around EG's comp, because right now EG don't have much of a response. Even though now the 2-item spike King, maybe something gives.
And worst part about that play is that you don't even pull any summoner spells out of AoE, so it's not like you can punish someone being flashless on the side of AoE, is they have every flash up and available. But still, for me, Lynx is the key. He is the most valuable member at the moment. If you don't take Lynx off the board, you're going to get shredded. This goes for Darklings too. Trist is really hard to lock down. Ziggs you can always take and then go from there. I think that's going to be the best chance for EG.
They can navigate this, though. And if they can, it would be a heckin' comeback for them. Got to find ways to get Surdy implemented here. Did see the check-in of the gold, right? Things have changed a little bit in those directions, but it's still AoE right back on the map. A little bit over a 1.5k lead, and all of their tools available to them.
That's Harass there from Ryoma, who Despite the 0-2-0 status this game, for me, has always been a good LeBlanc player. Good to see some of that there. It's a nice catch on a Breezy. Finds the chain, but Darkwing's level 15 now with Nabori. He is still packing a hell of a punch.
Nice little pokes from Ryoma, just trying to bait them in. Actually catching out Breezy's Unbreakable here. We got TPs coming down, so things are about to kick off. Breezy getting a little bit low. He got influence from Lynx, but he's flanked by EG. It's still EG falling apart at the seams, though, as Surdy has made his entrance, but Ryoma is nowhere to be seen in the fight. Surdy's just going in, trying to make the slice and dice happen. He can't get it, though. He gets locked down. He's going golden. Look at King. King is stepping up. He's got red, white. Can he make the fight happen? Ryoma's poking him down. He can't get the last auto. King, he wants the moment. He wants the spotlight. Ryoma can't get it, and the lockdown has come. King is ripping them apart, and he'll find the kills. A triple kill, and the King has been crowned.
EG, I was worried at the start of the fight. They threw everything into the ulted Alistar. That's so many cooldowns that were eaten up by Breezy, but in the back half, Lynx had to flash away from all the danger, and King ended up being the danger in the end, as he was the one who knocked on the doors of AOE, rips them down. Take another look. Yeah, I mean, Breezy's low, you get the ultimate, but everything's thrown out of the Alistar here. I mean, we're throwing so many ults, so many autos, and Breezy actually just walked out. So from there, I mean, Shaden's dead. It's a 5v3 in favor of AOE. The turn from Surdy is really good. Surdy bought a lot of space here.
Yeah, he did.
As King was able to Gale Force away from Concept. Yes, Surdy falls, but he got Lynx and Darkwing so low from the work that he was able to do on the Renekton. Yeah, he goes down, but King was at least able to get Lynx off the back half of that, and then Darkwing's was way too low. So Realm was able to keep on pushing forward. Some good play using the distortion to try and use the movement to fit in a couple bonus Shiv autos here from Ryoma. As you can see, when he autos and W's back, that actually stacks up the Shiv more. Able to use those mechanics to get one bonus proc there in the back half. That might have been all they needed in order to make sure King found the triple as a bloody fight.
Yeah.
But importantly, lots of gold going over to the pockets of the carry of EG and King, as he has 4-1-0 and has access to that LDR, which will be very important getting through this Jack Sejuani Alistar front line that EG's worried about.
And there's no time to think. EG, go ahead and start up this bear. They will be spotted out. Shaden takes a huge chunk from Lynx. But Surdy is around the corner, and everything's available. The big moment comes from King, though. He was able to get a lot of gold last fight. Can he make the count? Surdy on the side. Get Ryoma pushed out, and Surdy just gets caught out. Darkwings gets that kill, and the Moonlight Vigil just signals a retreat from EG.
Breezy kept Surdy out of the fight, and he was never able to get that Gore Drinker plus Q combo in. So he melts to the wayside. Shading got very low. Ryoma has a TP to get back, but doesn't choose to use it. So Free Baron going over to AOE as they answer back.
The purple capes have come for AOE Gold. It's just a nice little buff to have coming back on the map. They are still in the advantage. No matter the theatrics that King has put on, no matter if he has that big crown on his head, it is still an advantage for AOE. It is still a composition that is getting scarier by the moment. And speaking of scarier, third item completed for Darkwings.
Are we going to be happy to rent that Baron buff for a little bit with our Turo Baron buff? Shout out to them. You can make renting a car rather fun with Turo. As EG going to be really trying to fight their way back into this dragon, as it's Soul on the board for AOE right now, Mazel. And you can see Surdy doesn't have that empowered TP even available to him yet. He's about to show on that top wave. EG are giving this up. No fight for them.
Can't fight. And at that point, you're just trying to find anything elsewhere than where AOE is on the map. That is an Ocean Soul for an already pretty stacked team.
Yeah.
It's only going to get a little scarier here, Cubby.
Now, on the bright side, it's Ocean Soul. All right, so you can still win it all in fight. But what this does make scary is that no more Malachi. Poke matters, and okay,
you know, a Siege comp really likes to have regen. You do have a lot of damage in this corridor, but it's still being AoE down by AoE. Surdy has TP, King is still popping off. Got a Moonlight Vigil there as well. Can't get the range though, and his health bar just can't hang. You do have EG with a bit of a fight back. Oh my goodness! And Lynx comes up big for AoE to make it good.
Yeah, King just barely found that last bouncing bomb, and the tick damage on the Andres gets the shutdown on Lynx's pocket, as now this Ziggs can push undeterred and it's at least going to be one inhibitor falling in favor of AOE.
Hey, you know what I was saying about that regen on the Siege comp? Yeah, it feels a little good here.
Yeah, it does. It does now.
It feels real good.
5v5 is close, but yeah, it does now. As, again, at
Zol
least
space
one
analysis.
inhibitor. I mean, it's NA, man. Come on. Just doing what our forefathers did here.
There you go. That's what it is. As the base does burn, they're looking for a little bit of a catch out for EG, but there's not one coming. That's 2 inhibs, 1 in mid, 1 in bot, and AOE will back out.
And next thing that's going to happen is they're going to bring in a Korean caster to replace me, actually. Moving forward, though.
I can never get rid of my cubby.
Thank you, Mazel. I appreciate you dearly. As all eyes on King. I mean, where the fight is, King is able to free hit here. Does get quite a bit of work done as Surdy does distract on this side. Like, this is good from
Lynx,
King.
though, man.
But yeah, he caught the minefield, and this bouncing bomb just dodges up instead of down. Yep, little stray bouncing bomb, able to take down the King. As it's sneaky in there, you know.
You just can't see them. It's so hard to see the damage. I know that King was not expecting that first bomb in the middle of that corridor there. Just take half his health in one ability. And this is the strength that this composition represents. It's not a double marksman composition, but it's a double carry composition from Darkwings and Lynx.
Still a big old siege composition when you have Ziggs plus Trist. As I love the answer from AoE, I gotta say. Playing Ziggs into Aphelios. Aphelios is limited to range, and the range they can interact. Ziggs makes that very hard, as now we have the last stand.
EG trying to make something happen. They got Surdy on the side with Dominus pop. Lynx and Darkwings are taking this front to back, and that's beautiful for AoE every time it comes through. King has red-white. He can make a moment happen, but it's got to be a miracle because the rest of his team will not be around to watch him. As Lynx goes on a killing spree, they're just pushing up mid.
AoE picking up right where they left off last week. They wrapped up with a 2-0 to Team Fish Taco, and I really like the answer here from AoE. I feel like their comp made sense to me. Yeah, Surdy got a lead on that top side, but the lead bot was bigger for AoE, and the way that Lynx and Darkwings were able to do some work and carry this game to the finish line, really well done as AoE put the finishing touches on what was a nice game 1.
I try to find the last little bits of damage onto the turrets here, as actually AoE decide to back off, and it'll be prolonged a little bit more, as actually a play from Ryoma not going to be pulled off in the end.
Maybe they watched the FlyQuest versus Maryville series last week and said, hey, you know what? We don't have to fight. We can actually go back to base. As now we're gonna get some chip damage in, and you know, King gets a lot of CS here, right? With the tinfoil hat sounds go helmet mode.
Yeah. I mean, I thought I had Mazel's Hopium Emporium over in the LPL. Do we need to have a cubby stop over here? Do we have some representation?
It's about to be the cubby reality check, which is
oh no,
we're down triple inhibs, and I'm already thinking about whatever snack I get for the next game. I'm out of tea, and I'm kind of hungry, and Ryoma's dead.
No.
Oh,
no,
wait a minute.
Cubby.
I lied.
Because he's good.
I need my liquids and food because I didn't have them there. I miscalled that. Obviously.
Yeah. That's definitely what it was for sure.
Yeah,
we see EG though positioning for a little bit of a flank. They need to find something, and this is the only way forward they see. Is it a light at the end of the tunnel though? As a rampage for Lynx signals the kills for AoE. King goes for another big Infernum, but can't get the damage, and Surdy needs to get out of dodge, but he's got a GA still, so he's going to buy some time. AoE picking him off while he comes back to life, and he comes back to another death, another nail in the coffin, and another AoE win. We wanted consistency from this team, and they consistently dominated EG in this game 1.
Really like the Tristana play that we're seeing out of Darkwings. I like that pick in the LeBlanc, and I think that EG should think about what they're going to do in the next draft. I wouldn't give Darkwings that matchup again. He found the solo kill, and the work that he did in that game, I mean, just took so many turrets away from LB, and Shivbill was never really able to be the menace in the side lane that we've seen it be before. So, well done by AoE and Darkwings. I think especially, I like that comp that Trist mid, Ziggs bot into Aphelios. You get yourself 2 good matchups. You still find magic damage somewhere. And they were able to accelerate the game enough where it was really tough for EG to get space back on the map.
Leaning to their strengths is what I love to see. The growth is unstoppable from this point, it feels like, for AoE. We'll see what can happen in the response, at least on the other side for Evil Geniuses. We're going to send it to a little break, and on the other side, we'll have Rally Cry halftime show with Angus. Don't miss it.
The LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car sharing marketplace. Find your drive.